Hi, everyone, and welcome to Like, Share, Follow. And this week, I have the amazing Brooke Festa, who is a content writer at Resurge Digital. So, welcome, Brooke. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, very well. And so it was actually, I always start this saying, well, it was such a long time since I last saw you at USC, but it wasn't. It was last semester. So
Yeah.
you finished your semester and landed this amazing job. So tell me all about it, what you're doing and how it all happened.
So I do a lot of content writing for a bunch of different clients. So anywhere from like website blogs to landing pages, product pages. Like I do a whole range of different things. Anything you can think of, I've written about it. I get some crazy stuff, but it's very fun. Every day is very different. And I'm training in social media content curation at the moment and management. And I'm starting to do a lot of SEO stuff. So it's been a bit of an eye opener, but the SEO stuff's actually really fun. So we're learning a lot about keyword research, keywords in general, keyword phrases, all that sort of stuff, ins and outs, like back ends of websites and everything. So I'm doing a lot, but it's really really fun. Yeah.
Excellent. And so how did it all come about? So did you see it advertised or what tell me what happened?
So for about 2 months before I finished uni, I was on Seek every single day looking at like social media jobs. I did actually study journalism, but throughout COVID, I sort of like drifted from journalism over to social media and everything. I was really enjoying how every day was really different. It was really fun. So I spent a little bit of time looking at different jobs online just to see, where my skills could fit for particular job roles, what I could do if I had the right knowledge for certain positions and everything, just to get a feel for what I could apply for when I graduated uni. So I actually saw research on Seek. I think it was about a week or two before I finished uni, and it literally looked like the perfect job role. So I applied for that straight away. And about, I think it was a week after, oh no, I was still at uni when I actually had the interview. It was my last week of uni. So I went to Brisbane for the interview. It was a really intense week because I had, the final assignments due and everything. So I was trying to juggle all of that with this interview. And literally finished uni on the 5th of June and started work the Monday after that week. So straight into it, yeah.
Wow, that was fast. And so what do you think set you apart from other people going for that job?
Um, I personally printed out a lot of content that I had written throughout my degree, and put it in a little sleeve and took it with me to the interview. And I just said like, hey, I just wanted to give you this while I was here, so you could see like some of the stuff that I've written, just to get a feel for where my skills are, what my level of writing is at, and everything. But I also looked at the Be Work Ready videos that you suggested to me, and they really, really helped with the interview process. They got me ready for potential questions that would be asked, how to answer them the right way, and sort of how to word things as well. I'm kind of an awkward person, so I sort of stumble over my words a lot. So it helped me, go into the interview with a little bit of confidence. So I was able to, be myself and not be so nervous and, get everything out on the table the right way. So I think that really helped preparing for the interview in advance and knowing exactly what I was going to say, how I was going to answer things, what I was going to give to the manager. Yeah, I just feel like being prepared well in advance probably helped me stand out a little bit more. I didn't kind of go into it winging it. Yeah.
Well done. And for those watching, I'll make sure that I put the link to the Be Work Ready stuff in the links, the bottom, the comments of the post where this live stream is. So that's fantastic. So well done. And because sometimes some grads find it hard after finishing uni to land something, but you were right on it straight away. So well done.
Yeah, thank you.
And so, what degree did you do at USC?
So I did a Bachelor of Journalism, and social media was my minor. So yeah, I went into it because I was really good at English when I was at school, and I thought, obviously when I get a job, I would love to do something where I can be writing a lot of the time. So I thought journalism was the perfect thing to do because I would be writing and researching, and that's what I loved. Never really sort of considered social media until I started doing the minor, and I was, it opened me up to a lot of different avenues where I thought, okay, there's a lot of creativity here. It's not a really strict sort of industry, whereas journalism can be very, there's a lot of certain ways that you've got to write depending on where you're working. Everybody's got a style guide. You have to use particular language. Everything's sort of set in stone. Whereas with social media, I felt like I had free reign a little bit. I could use my full potential when it comes to creativity. And people sort of want you for what you're good at. So that's what I really loved about social media more so than journalism. So yeah, I sort of swayed away from that really towards the end of my degree, actually. So it took me about 4 years to realize I actually love social media.
Oh, that's good. And I think too, like with social media, it's more around sort of brand voice, isn't it? Rather than, so you're sort of bringing a brand or a product or a service to life, or a company or a business to life through content, trying to actually connect with people.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I love being able to help, people who have a vision and they're like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. Is that something you can do for me? And you get to work with people to sort of, raise their ideas and, like you said, bring it to life. And I think for me, that's like such a gratifying feeling, I guess, when you get that end result and it starts from an idea and becomes an actual, product or a service in the end. Yeah, it's amazing.
Absolutely. And so what has been some of the best career advice that you've been given, even though, I mean, you're starting out in this particular career, but what advice have you been given?
Probably when I was at uni, one of my professors, Jane, she sort of took me under her wing a little bit and was like a mentor for me a lot last year. She was very, very encouraging a lot of the time, and she always kept telling me, like, you can do it, just keep going. And I know that's like really basic and cliche, but being able to tell yourself just keep going, like no matter what happens, just keep going. That's something that has helped me constantly, especially with like, trying to find full-time work when you're nearing the end of your degree. You kind of get, disheartened a little bit when you don't get certain jobs that you apply for, or, you look at the brief for a certain job position and you think, oh, like, I don't know if I'm really suited for that role, but I really want to do it. And I kind of just had to tell myself, like, it doesn't matter, just like apply for them anyway, like just do it, just keep going, because you don't know where you're going to end up. So for me, it's just like, yeah, don't ponder on the negatives, sort of just keep looking at the positives, the what ifs, and just keep going for it. Yeah,
that's great advice. So yeah, and Jane's amazing. She's a great colleague. Another thing I want to find out, so what has been some of the most beneficial things that you've learned at university that you found most useful in your job now?
I think the most important thing is, I don't know if it's so much to do with the degree or like work as a whole, but to stay sort of authentic to yourself and don't ever really sway away from, who you are as a person and what you believe in. I feel like that's really important, especially for this day and age. And that's something that's really important in journalism as well, because I feel like it is an industry where you can kind of lose sight of your morals or those sorts of things. So for me, it was like, I've always got to keep my head on my shoulders, stick to my guns, don't sort of ever sway away from what you believe in, because you never know, there's people out there that will connect with you as well. You're not just on your own. So yeah, throughout my degree, that's something that we were constantly told in journalism, because it is an industry where, I don't want to make it sound bad because journalism is a great industry, but yeah, there's just a lot of things, I guess, where you just have to stick to your guns, do what you think is right, the best, what's important. And don't ever do something that's going to jeopardize your career, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just taking that ethical approach to things. Yeah, because I know, I mean, and I think sometimes and it can happen in any profession where you you'll feel overloaded, and there can be temptation to do the wrong thing to make it easier. And sometimes being ethical is the harder option, even if it is the better option. So, yeah.
I think that's something that, because I did do an ethics class for journalism, and for me that that class was so important for me because it was a degree where you sort of question things a couple of times along the way, like what should I be doing that's best for me, or what should I be doing that's best for my employer or like a potential employer, or for the good of a story or content. So when we did that class, it was an eye-opener, and it sort of makes you think really hard about like where you stand with yourself and where you stand with your job. So that's something that I held on to a lot after I did that class, and it's personally helped me ever since I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what's something that you wish you'd learned at university that you've needed to know in your current role?
I don't know if it applies to my current role, but something that I feel like uni doesn't really prepare you for is if you don't get the jobs that you've been going for, because they sort of say like you'll definitely be work ready, like when you graduate uni, you can apply for jobs, blah blah blah. And that's like all well and good, and it is true, but I feel like for some people it is a bit of a struggle. And I think it does come down to confidence in a way, because I had the same problem where I would look at a job role and I would think, oh, I don't have those skills, or my employer will be really disappointed in me because I'm going to apply for the job and then I'm not going to be good at it. So I feel like they kind of need to prepare you as well for, I mean, one, a confidence boost. I feel like just saying like you'll be work ready when you finish uni, they kind of need to like show, like you helped me really a lot with preparing for my interview, and I feel like that's something that should be done at uni as well. Like getting into the nitty gritty of actually applying for a job and building your resume. And I think you did help us with that in one of the social media classes with resumes or cover letters, I think, towards the end. But I feel like that's something that should be a bit more of a focus at uni when students are coming to the end of their degree, is just a bit of guidance with actually applying for jobs, how to go about it, the interview process. Like if you get knocked back a lot of times, don't give up, try this avenue, because that's something that I had to sort of learn in the last couple of weeks of my degree, and I kind of wish I had have known it before I started looking for full-time work.
Yeah, and I mean, we do have an area that helps with that at the university, but I don't think it's well publicised. I don't think a lot of students know that it's actually there. So that's great feedback to get. So we can definitely pass that on. That's good. And so now you're working like in the thick of social media all the time, and it changes every day, as we know. So what is something you've learned in the last couple of weeks that you found really interesting or exciting? It could be a hack, it could be a platform change, or something that you'd like to share with other social media, let's call them enthusiasts, after my friend Karen Freeberg, that's what she likes to call herself, rather than experts, but social media enthusiasts. What can you share with us that you found really exciting in the last couple of weeks?
I have been learning to use a platform called Contentino, which is where you schedule a lot of social media content, whether it's for yourself or for your clients. So it's basically a calendar, and you sort of just put the content in there for certain days. For us, like I'm doing August at the moment for one of our clients. So I've never actually used a social media scheduling tool before. So it's been a bit of a learning curve. It's kind of confusing getting to know like a new platform, especially for social media, but it's been really fun, and it makes, creating content for clients a lot easier, because you can schedule it in and then sort of forget about it until the time comes to, go and edit the content before it's posted. But something I have learned is to make sure you do your planning properly, because I had a bit of a hiccup today where I've had to delete all the content for August, and I've got to redo it tomorrow. So, luckily though, it is for a client that I love working with. So I've made all of the content, so all I've got to do is reschedule it and do the captions again. But yeah, just make sure you do your planning properly when it comes to, learning these new platforms, because you think you've got it, and then at the last second, you've probably done something wrong.
Yeah, look, and I think that happens to the best of us. And but the thing is, I think it only ever happens once because you
I
go
hope
like, I'm never doing that again.
yeah, no, I
So,
really hope so. Yeah, no, but it's all good.
oh, good. And so, tell me, what advice would you give to other emerging professionals who may be still at university or just finishing even last semester, like you did, about how to succeed in their chosen career?
Um, don't put yourself down when it comes to your skills and your knowledge that you've learned at uni, because that's what I was doing when I came to my last semester. I was thinking, I'm not going to get a full-time job straight away. Like I've just studied for 4 years, but I feel like, I don't know, I can't put my skills into practice. But I feel like, you're not going to go into a job role and not be trained. And I kept thinking, I'm going to get a job and I'm not going to be trained. I'm going to be expected to know everything. So I feel like don't do that to yourself, because it really will knock your confidence. You've got to be headstrong, believe in yourself, and believe in everything that you've just learned for however long you've studied for. Yeah, don't knock it. Just give it a go. If it's not what you like, then try something else. There's going to be jobs out there all the time. I know it's probably difficult at the moment, but there is something for everyone out there. That's what I needed to tell myself. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in the space that you're working in, I'm inundated with opportunities every week because agencies are growing. I think last year really shook up a lot of businesses to think, well, we actually really need to take social seriously because
Yeah.
when an uncertain world we now live in, a face-to-face contact can be taken away very quickly, and then our only sort of lifeline and connection with our customers is online. So, and I think a lot of businesses now look to others to professionals to help them to do that. So, yeah, so I think the field that you've chosen is a really good one, and I can see it continuing to flourish as well.
Yeah, I think that was a major thing that, made me push more towards social media when I finished. Was last year we really did see so many people depending on social media and the internet in general for businesses to keep going. It was sort of the only way that work could continue, because obviously we couldn't, go into a store or, meet people face to face. So it really did put a lot of businesses to the test. And I think that's something that made me change my decision a little bit, because I thought, I really need a job where, I'm not going to get stuck one day. I want it to keep going. I want to, be guaranteed that I can still keep working if the uncertain happens, because now we know that things can happen really unexpectedly. But yeah, digital marketing and social media in general it's seriously growing constantly and so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, and so now we've come to the final question and the most important one. Who do you like, share, and follow?
I make a point of, following a lot of people on social media that are really encouraging. I know people can get really caught up in social media a lot, because I was there where, I was following the wrong people. It was knocking my confidence. But, social media is very addicting. So even though you feel horrible when you go on there, sometimes you keep going back. So I sort of did like a social media cleanse at one point and thought, you know what, I'm going to get rid of all these people that are, aren't making me feel very good, and make a point of following people that, you want to go on social media and feel encouraged and motivated and inspired. It's a really creative platform, so you kind of have to use it for what it is. So I make a point of trying to follow a lot of motivating people, especially for the field that I'm in now. It's really opened my eyes to, the capacity of what social media is, because I feel like we kind of only focus on one part of it and we kind of ignore everything else that's on social media. It's such an amazing thing, and we really do take it for granted. So yeah, I make a point of trying to follow people that actually benefit my day-to-day life, and it's such a good feeling when you make that change. Yeah.
Do you have any examples you could share?
um I don't really like talking about influencers much, but there's one particular that I love to follow. Her name's Lauren Giraldo. She's actually a YouTuber, but she does focus on content creation as well. And I think I followed her beginning of last year, And I think that's sort of when I decided to like make the change with socials, where I'm just going to like wipe people out that aren't making me feel so good. She's so confident, very, very, very motivating. And I love when people are really relatable, like just generally relatable. You feel like you're following a friend and you're not following, you know, like someone who's being paid to post on social media. So she's someone that I really enjoy following, and I watch her on every single platform that she's on. I follow her on every single platform that she's on. So it's good to be able to connect with someone on social media that you've never met before, that does make a positive impact for you. So that's what she does for me. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, maybe you can put the link to her YouTube channel in the post later too, so other people can follow her.
Yeah.
Now, Brooke, we've had a few people watching and sharing comments tonight, so let me work through them. So Anthony, now I think Anthony's in Melbourne, and he said, hello, Karen, Brooke, and Kitty, because my cat made an appearance before. And he said, terrific insight, Brooke, on your journey thus far. Love your perspective, positive attitude, determination and enthusiasm. Best wishes and continued success with your career progression. Wow. Then we had Mugdam here, but he said Dobro, which I'm pretty sure is like hello or good morning, wherever you may be. Then Samira said, hi, Brooke, how are you? And then we've got Rob, and Rob said, good evening, fascinating content, respect your journalistic insights, Brooke. Cool. So, yeah, so that's it. So that brings us to the end of this week's show. Do you have any final words to share with our audience?
Get into social media if you love creativity. I feel like it's the best platform to be if you're a creative person and you've got a lot of creative insight. You can really like use your full potential in any aspect of social media. There's so many avenues. So don't just think that there's only one thing that you can do, because I didn't realize that, you know, social media extends to so many different things. Every day is going to be different. Don't knock your confidence when it comes to applying for jobs. I only applied for 2 full-time jobs when I finished uni, and I got the second one that I applied for. So be confident, do your research, go into an interview knowing what you're going to say, and yeah, do what I did and take some you know, handheld content in there to show your potential employer, because I feel like that's a really good thing that people probably don't do so much anymore, and I think that's probably what made me stand out a little bit. But yeah, just be confident and don't knock yourself.
Excellent. Great advice. Thank you, Brooke. And next week we have Laura Goldsworthy, who is a social media and marketing consultant at Dash Social. So, and Laura just finished this semester as well. So, yeah. So thank you so much, Brooke. It was really lovely to catch up with you and to hear about your journey and amazing success since finishing your degree. So, thank you, and thanks everyone, and I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.